Did you know that Sean O'Malley, Islam Makhachev, Max Holloway, and Alex Pereira's career earnings are $6.5 million, $5.6 million, $9.03 million, and $6.9 million respectively? Meaning that Max Holloway made an average of $642,857 annually since his first professional fight, which was in 2010. Of course, this is before any deductions, but even if he took 50% of that, he would still be earning over $300,000 annually, which is over 4 times the average American salary. These are some really good numbers, but still there's some controversy surrounding UFC fighter pay. Today we're going to get to the bottom of it. Unfortunately, a lot of UFC fighters struggle to make ends meet and have to work full-time jobs while fighting at the highest level. Like Jeff Neal, who worked as a waiter. Dominic was working a full-time job when he fought for the title against Jon Jones. Many other fighters, including Greg Hardy and Joaquin Buckley. The lowest you can earn as a UFC fighter is $10,000. In the Dana White Contender Series, you're paid $10,000 to show up and $10,000 to win, which is barely anything, especially in America's economy. Unlike other major sports leagues such as the NFL, NBA, and NHL, where players receive around 50% of total revenues, UFC fighters receive only 16 to 20% of the organization's revenues. This is a significant disparity and leaves fighters with a smaller share of the revenue pie. Being a professional MMA or UFC fighter comes with considerable expenses. Fight camps, which can last 2 to 3 months, can cost fighters between $2,000 and $8,000. Additionally, management fees, travel expenses, accommodation, pre-fight medicals, coaching fees, and miscellaneous expenses further add to the financial burden. The UFC used to allow fighters to have outside sponsors, which provided additional income. However, in 2009, the organization introduced sponsor tax, resulting in many sponsors withdrawing their support. In 2014, the UFC signed an exclusive apparel deal with Reebok, eliminating fighters' ability to secure outside sponsors. While fighters now receive fight week incentive pay from the apparel deal, it is significantly less than what they could earn with outside sponsors. A lot of us MMA fans were disappointed that the UFC traded Demetrious Johnson for Ben Askren. DJ claims that part of the reason why he left the UFC was because they were planning on shutting down the flyweight division. Dana White confirmed this in an interview. DJ believes that the UFC didn't promote him enough, but Dana White said otherwise, claiming that they put him on Fox multiple times and they based a whole TV show around him, that being The Ultimate Fighter. He also claimed that the UFC didn't want to give him pay-per-view points, even after he became champion. But Dana White claimed that DJ didn't believe in his own ability to sell a pay-per-view event and wanted upfront money only.
Then I finally got a new contract as a champion, and I think it was 125 and 50, but I couldn't get pay-per-view points. And that's where a champion makes most of their bang for the buck, is the pay-per-view points. Because if you get on a card with Conor McGregor and he does 2.1 million buys, then you just do the fucking math. You're going to make a shitload of money. I never got the opportunity to do that. So when they try to stiff arm me to fight TJ Dillashaw, I was like, yeah, pay me fucking $1 million and I'll do it. This is a super fight. Let's make some super money. They were never wanting to do that. So that's why I came out with that basically pushing back. Like, when does a champion have leverage? When does a champion be able to get what's due to him? Right? I'm going on my 7th to 8th consecutive title defense. You got fucking CM Punk over here who's making 500 bones and it's his second fight in the UFC. That's where that chip on my shoulder came from.
DJ even released a video where he was fully transparent about his earnings as a UFC fighter before and after becoming champion. And I must say, it was very underwhelming.
When I fought Dominic Cruz, I was under contract. I think I was fighting for, it was 14 and 14. Okay, I lost Dominic Cruz, so I made 14K. Then I was about to fight Eddie Wineland, and that didn't go through. So I fought Ian McCall in Australia. I was on that same contract. And then I got a new contract when I fought Ian McCall the second time. I think I got bumped up to 20 and 20. So I beat Ian McCall, and then I fought Joseph Benavidez. And then I was still on that 20 and 20. So when I fought John Dodson, I made 23 and 23. And then when I fought John Moraga, I think it was 23-23. Then I went like 26 and 26. And then when I fought Joseph Benavidez, I think it was like 30 and 30. And
while I do sympathize with DJ, I have to understand the realities of running an MMA promotion. Fighters aren't the only staff members. There are referees, judges, announcers, ring girls, matchmakers, event coordinators, etc. So we can't always assume that fighters are getting underpaid because of exploitation. But I also do believe that the UFC restricts fighters from maximizing their income. And a lot of fighting organizations aren't as lucrative as people think they are. Some have to be discontinued, some that you may even be familiar with, like Strikeforce and Pride. Alistair Overeem claimed that he fought 4 times in a kickboxing promotion and didn't get paid for it. On the bright side, Alistair fought those fights fully aware of the company's financial situation, so we can't really call it exploitation.
I mean, you're one of only 2 MMA fighters to hold a belt in K1 and MMA. And then after you got the K1 belt, I mean, they paid you a ton of money to fight in K1, right?
Why y'all in his business, his finances, man?
No,
was it brown bag money?
I heard it was $6 million for one K1 fight.
That's crazy.
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's crazy.
And by the way, they went bankrupt. They didn't even pay me.
What?
I fought actually 4 fights because the Dream fight, they didn't pay me either. 4 fights, they didn't get paid. But I had 2 belts. And I kind of beforehand knew, what was that company called again? FEG, had financial difficulties.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew already, okay, but I'm fighting for the belt. I don't care.
ZipRecruiter, among many other sources, tells me that MMA fighters make more than boxers. And some fighters have defended the UFC and how it pays its fighters. This includes Sean O'Malley, Justin Gaethje, and Kevin Holland. One thing all these fighters have in common is that they're in the 25th percentile of fighter pay in the UFC. These fighters are privileged, but they've earned that privilege from being entertaining, high level, and marketable.
And you happy with the amount of money that you make in the UFC right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair.
Because Dana gets a bad rep, obviously. I don't know why, but for
Well,
fighter pay and all that.
yeah,
so
you
who's
know
really
why.
getting fucked there?
We're all, I mean, my coach Luke, he fought in the UFC in 2002, and he got paid.
Dana gave him a bag of Skittles and a bag of peanuts.
Pretty much. Yeah, he lost. He made $3,000. And so it's a process. In 10 years, my 5 to $1 million will be 2 to 7 million for these guys. And it's just the process of the sport. We have it. 1992 is when the UFC, started. And so we've been around for, what is that? 30 years.
It was really cool, but the thing about it is like, it's the truth. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people get in this position that they in right now, like fighting on TV, being on the biggest promotion in the world, and they think like, okay, I'm good, right? Like, I should be set, right? I mean, you gotta be more active, right? You have to be more active so you can get this money, right? Because the money is a lot. You need that money so you can take care of businesses and other stuff like that, right? Family and so on and so forth. But it's like, people go, oh, well, people in the NFL make this much money. People in the NBA make this much money. I mean, the bench warmers don't make that much money. WNBA makes shit money. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, at the end of the day, you guys are fighting twice a year, once a year, and y'all mad because you only made like $30,000, $40,000 that year. Bruh, you made $30,000 to $40,000 off one fight. If you fought twice, you made $80,000. That's still more than what the person over here working every day is making. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the truth is that life is not fair, and you're not always going to reap as much as you're sowing. There'll be seasons where it feels like you're not reaping anything at all. But instead of feeling sorry for yourself, why don't you get up and make something happen? Because the world doesn't care as much as it makes you think it does. I say this because UFC fans complain about fighter pay, yet they stream fights illegally and have never bought a pay-per-view in their entire life. Like and subscribe, unless you want to fight me, bro.